The game is one of the best rivalries, if not the best rivalry game in all of college football. It is a matchup that usually just doesn't have bragging rights on the line, but also Big Ten and national title stakes as well. Toss in an NCAA scandal this year, and this game may be the biggest it's ever been this season. This is the story of the game. This is the history of the rivalry between two of the most successful teams in college football history. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I plan to release multiple videos a week this season. Also, let me know what your favorite college football rivalry is in the comment section below. So let's meet our teams. Michigan began playing football in 1879 and were a charter member of the conference known as the Big Ten. They have won or shared 44 conference titles, have finished in the top 10 of the AP poll 39 times, and have 11 national titles and 7 unclaimed national titles. They play in the Big House, which has a capacity of over 107,000 fans, and opened in 1927. They have an all-time record of 1,353-36 and are the winningest program in college football. Their winningest head coach is Bo Schembechler, who won 194, 48-5, followed by Fielding Yost, who won 165, 29-10, and rounded out by Lloyd Carr with a 122-40 record. They're currently coached by Jim Harbaugh, who at the time of recording is suspended, and who also ranks 4th all-time in wins at Michigan with a record of 82-25. Ohio State, on the other hand, began playing football in 1890 and joined the Big Ten Conference in 1912. They have won 41 conference titles, which includes their 2 Ohio Athletic Conference titles, have had 10 undefeated seasons, 6 perfect seasons, 8 claimed national titles, and 8 unclaimed national titles. They play at Ohio Stadium, also known as the Horseshoe, which opened in 1922, which has a capacity of almost 103,000. They have an all-time record of 964, 331-53, which is the second most in all of college football. Their winningest head coach is Woody Hayes, who has a record of 205, 61-10, followed by John Cooper, who has a record of 111, 43-4, and the top 3 is rounded out by Jim Tressel, who finished with a 94-22 record. They are currently coached by Ryan Day, who has a 56-6 record at Ohio State. The Michigan vs. Ohio State game is simply known as the game. It's a game that has been played 118 times and was a matchup that went uninterrupted from 1918 to 2020. Michigan has the longest unbeaten streak of 15 from 1897 to 1918, and they also had the longest winning streak with 9 from 1901 to 1909. They also own the series lead with a record of 60, 51-6. Let's have a little history lesson of why these two schools and states hate each other. From 1835 to 1836, Michigan and Ohio were sort of at war with each other, fighting over the area that stretched from Toledo to the Indiana state line. Historians believe the war resulted in a single casualty, but no one died. President Andrew Jackson actually intervened in the conflict to get it to end and created a compromise for the two states. Ohio State would be given the strip of land, while Michigan would occupy the Upper Peninsula. Although the conflict ended, there was no love lost between the two. The game began in October of 1897 when Michigan won 34-0, scoring 6 touchdowns all in the first half. Michigan finished the season with a 6-1-1 mark and ranked number 3 in the then Western Conference behind champions Wisconsin and runner-up Chicago. Ohio State went 1-7-1 in 1897, beating Ohio Medical but not scoring a point in 7 of its 9 games. Michigan would dominate the rivalry early, winning 19 of the first 24 matchups, led by head coach Fielding Yost, who won 6 national titles from 1901 to 1905, and finished with a record of 55-1-1 during that period of time. In his 25-year coaching career, he only lost to Ohio State 3 times and also experienced 2 ties. Upon the arrival of Francis Schmidt, Michigan held a 22-6-2 record over Ohio State. Schmidt was originally from Texas, which left a lot of fans wondering whether he could fit in the Midwest. When locals asked whether he could turn the tide in their rivalry with Michigan, he answered he could, given that Michigan players put their pants on one leg at a time just like we do. The Buckeyes went on to win the next 4 matchups by a score of 114-0, and to this day, Ohio State players earn a gold pant charm if they beat Michigan. The outsider helped put Ohio State on the map and handed the baton off to Paul Brown, who arrived in Columbus in 1941. A native Ohioan who won 6 state titles at Massillon Washington High School, which is still known as a state superpower today thanks to his efforts. Brown tied Michigan 2020 in his first taste of the game, and in his second season he led number 5 Ohio State to an upset win over then-ranked number 4 Michigan 21-7, leading to their first national title. In 1950, the two played for the Western Conference title, once again in a game that would be known as the Snow Bowl. The weather was horrendous with temperatures being under 10 degrees, winds being over 28 miles per hour, and 2 inches of snow falling per hour. There were a combined 45 punts for over 1,400 yards, and Michigan won the game 9-3 without ever having a first down. According to Sports Illustrated's James Park, the Big Ten had given Ohio State an option to cancel this matchup, a decision which would have given the Buckeyes the outright conference championship, but Ohio State elected to play. Because Wes Fessler chose to play the game, and because of said loss, he was fired, leading to Ohio State hiring Woody Hayes to be their next head coach. Imagine how different everything would have been had Ohio State chosen not to play that game. We would have not gotten the 10-year war. Woody Hayes won 12 of his first 18 games against Michigan, including 4 straight to start the 1960s. That success peaked in 1968 when Ohio State routed Michigan 50-14 en route to the national championship. That game inspired one of the greatest quotes of college football history. Asked why he attempted a 2-point conversion late when the game was long decided, Hayes said, "Because I couldn't go for 3. But in 1969, a first-year coach named Bo Schembechler, an Ohio native and one-time Hayes assistant, declared a decade-long border war. Ohio State went into that year's game on a 22-game win streak and were favorites to win the national title once again. Instead, disaster struck for the Buckeyes as they went into halftime down 24-12 in the Big House, and Michigan would hold on to win, leading to one of the biggest upsets during the 20th century. Over the next decade, the two played in an intensely fought, crazy game with Michigan leading the series 5-4-1, and they saw the teams ranked in the top 10 7 times and top 5 5 times. This period would be known as the 10-year war. Earl Bruce took over for Woody Hayes and led Ohio State to a 5-4 record over Michigan, with neither team winning more than 2 straight in the rivalry. This was viewed as one of the most balanced time periods for the rivalry. During Bruce's last game, he was fired the week before the game. Ohio State pulled a massive upset over the heavily favored Wolverines, with Schembechler telling Bruce after the game, "I always mind losing to Ohio State, but I didn't mind so much today." When John Cooper took over for Bruce in 1988, he was dominated by Michigan and had multiple national title seasons ruined by their arch rivals. In 1993, Ohio State had an undefeated record and a chance at the Big Ten title heading into the game. They fell to a 4-loss Michigan team 28-0. In 1995, led by first-year head coach Lloyd Carr, Michigan upset number 2 Ohio State 31-23, and the following year they ruined another perfect season for Ohio State in a 13-9 Wolverines win, knocking Ohio State out of the national title game. From 1988 to 2000, Michigan held a 10-2-1 record against Ohio State. When Jim Tressel arrived in 2001 from Youngstown State, the tide began to turn. He focused on the rivalry, saying in his introductory press conference, "I can assure you that you will be proud of our young people, in the classroom, in the community, and most especially in 310 days in Ann Arbor, Michigan on the football field." He led them to their first win over Michigan in the Big House that year and beat them the following year, making it the Buckeyes' first back-to-back streak since 1982. Michigan won in 2003, but after that, Ohio State would proceed to go on a dominant streak, winning 8 straight, including the game of the century in 2006. During the 2006 matchup, both Ohio State and Michigan entered the game ranked 1 and 2 in the nation for the first time in series history. Ohio State opened the 2006 season as the number 1 team, while Michigan started off at number 14 overall. After a win over number 2 Notre Dame, the Wolverines moved into the top 6 and were number 2 by October 21st. The game had all the hype in the world, with the winner guaranteed a spot in the BCS title game. Michigan entered the game with a heavy heart after former head coach Bo Schembechler died the day before the game. Ohio State would win the game 42-39. They would go on to lose to Florida in the national title game, while Michigan dropped to number 3 in the rankings and lost to number 5 USC in the Rose Bowl. Carr retired after the season, finishing with a 6-7 record against Ohio State. Led by head coach Rich Rodriguez in 2008, the Wolverines entered the game with a 3-8 record and lost to Ohio State 42-7. Led by head coach Brady Hoke, Michigan snapped their losing streak to Ohio State, who was coached by interim head coach Luke Fickell. The Buckeyes were under investigation by the NCAA for Tattoogate, which led to Jim Tressel retiring before the season. Tressel went 9-1 against Michigan, but had one win vacated due to the NCAA violations, so his record is technically 8-1. Urban Meyer was named head coach and led Ohio State to 7 straight victories, including 4 wins over Jim Harbaugh, who became Michigan's head coach in 2015. They played multiple crucial matchups throughout this time period for spots in the Big Ten title game and for the college football playoff. After Meyer announced his retirement, he was replaced by Ryan Day, who extended the winning streak to 8. The 2020 matchup was canceled by Michigan due to an increasing number of positive COVID-19 cases and student athletes in quarantine over the past week. It was the first time the game had not been played since 1917. Jim Harbaugh's job status and Ohio State needing one more game played for eligibility for the Big Ten championship game led to speculation of a planned cancellation. However, Michigan canceled its games both before and after the Ohio State game due to COVID-19 cases. With Jim Harbaugh on the hot seat heading into 2021, Michigan snapped their 8-game losing streak to the Buckeyes when they beat number 2 Ohio State 42-27. The game led Michigan to clinch their first ever visit to the Big Ten championship game, in which they won the Big Ten Conference for the first time since 2004 and their first outright conference championship since 2003. 2022 saw number 3 Michigan crush Ohio State in Columbus, their first win there since 2000, 45-23, leading to Michigan winning their second Big Ten title in a row and making their second straight appearance in the college football playoff. Heading into the 2023 matchup, a spot in the Big Ten championship game is on the line and a possible spot in the college football playoff. Things are also more heated between the two, with Michigan's sign-stealing scandal dating back to 2021, when Michigan got their first win over Ohio State. This is one of the most heated matchups in all of college football, with two fan bases that truly hate each other. With everything surrounding the game this year, this should be cinema. But what do you think? What is your favorite college football rivalry? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more college football content. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.